I want to talk about boundaries. I've gathered some interesting notes from my private individual sessions with clients, and I think I've gathered enough interesting stuff now that I can generalize into a conversation here. Now, I said generalize, so yes, the notes are generalized, but the topic is very specific, or the context. I want to build that context a little bit. Well, because the people who see me are kind of narrow, right? These are energetically sensitive people, empaths. But the one that I also want to highlight is psychologically very versed. So I'm not talking about learning what a boundary is, how to set a boundary, how to get better at setting a boundary. That's not the discussion. A lot of these people are well, maybe even more than me, um, well knowledgeable into this. Yet they, why I want to actually mention this very specifically, because sometimes it kind of leads to a convolution, and it serves as a detriment more than an aid, because boundaries, especially for sensitives like this, it is very much a nervous system issue. It is not a technique or a knowledgeable skill, if you will. So I do. That's why I bring it up like this. And here's another specific that I want to hone into, because I'm not talking about setting boundaries with just anyone, because that might come easy. But I want to hone into setting boundaries with the one. You know which one I mean, the one in your life. And if we were to choose an archetype for this one, I'm going to say setting boundaries with the activator, right? With the object of our growth, the one who causes us to go excavate into ourselves and go deeper, hold our own, practice who we are, things like that. So we're talking about a strong presence, not anyone. So, okay. So I just want to express that so that you know if this is your conversation, this is your video. So where do I begin? Maybe let's just start with boundaries. Let's just kind of define that, right? Very simplistic. I'm not getting into it, but if I were to just define it here so we know what exactly I'm talking about. To me, there's two pillars in boundaries. Number one, it's about the self. You're central, and you're simply communicating your needs, your desires, your intentions, your actions, right? So a simple thing is, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to do this instead. I need this. This is what I'm going to do about it. Something like that, right? The second pillar in boundary setting is holding pillar number one. You have to hold that boundary consistently, persistently. And there is a big difference energetically between one and two. Talking about energetics, this was my first note. Very, very interesting, especially in the people who are super versed in psychology, truly experts. Yet the difference in the way we're kind of having this conversation about boundaries is that, and it's sort of how I want to say boundaries is sort of sold as a communication skill, right? Communication improvement, positive communication. What's the other one? nonviolent communication, empowering stuff, things like that. And a lot of it is a set of wording, the way we choose the words, and that is all great. But it truly comes about as a framework of communication. It's a little bit more than conversation, but to me, this is the main difference. A boundary is very physical. It is a literal delineation of my individuality with the field, with another, with everything else. So the word boundary is super correct, is super precise, and it's very physical. So when I communicate, it is a communication, it is simply an expression of what is foundationally in a, an energetic space, in a reality. And so I'm not surprised when people who are super versed in psychology, they lose that connection. They don't even see that their issue is just a boundary issue because they got so into the aftermath and so into the psychoanalysis of the whole thing. I mean, this is like whiteboard stuff, right? Just to maintain the different relational databases and timelines and different epochs of ourselves and childhoods and like the whole family tree. And it's like, this is very overwhelming, but it's just a boundary issue. But I also understand how you get lost in that and you don't see it's a boundary issue because to you, to everybody, this is a nervous system issue. So if you are one of these children who have grown up into in an environment where people pleasing was sort of a safety measure, you had to maintain connection with other people for you to be safe. This is very common. So as adults, we place everybody else but us, right, above. That connection, the harmony is first. So when it comes to boundaries, it is so much more than a communication issue. You literally are asked to step into non-safety and to place yourself first. I mean, just the thought of that can be terrifying. If you don't have some warm up with some of these thoughts, or even like, what are your needs? I mean, a lot of people just cave at that. Like, what do you mean, what are my needs? I have no idea what my needs are. My needs, my wants, I mean, what needs to be done? Just the concept of it is so foreign. So the nervous system thawing, okay, the de-icing, the warming up into it is safe to have needs, and then the step up into it is safe to communicate those needs. I mean, you can understand how wide that leap is. It's enormous. But a lot of my clients through years of work and blah 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 have made it here. And I get how exhilarating it is because it is a huge breakthrough. It is night and day. It is completely a different environment. It feels empowering. Sometimes it even feels like crack, that you brought back so much of your power, right? Because what does it actually mean for an empath? What does it actually mean to hold a boundary? It is literally having, it's a capacity, energetic capacity thing, having enough awareness to hold enough self-worth, to hold enough self-love to express it to another, and not just another, to the activator. So it takes a lot of work to gather all those pieces of you, to integrate them into embodiment, and then honestly speak from it. This is the other big tripping point. And I feel like this is the time when people do ask for help, is, and they don't see how this is a boundary issue, because it's like they're able now to define and speak their boundary, and they feel empowered. But the problem is, you have to hold that. And for a lot of empaths, they have to love themselves more than wanting to react to the other's reaction. Let's see if I could say that better. I'm losing myself now. Okay. When you're able to communicate that first pillar of boundary, and you're speaking honestly, if before nobody believed you, prepare, or this is your proof that there's going to be a reaction. The other person is going to react because that conviction is believable. They see you're serious now. The pattern has been broken. The environment has changed. Everything has been disrupted from how it used to be before. Prepare for a reaction. There's going to be anger. There's going to be guilt. There's going to be shame. And for all you empaths, holding yourself first, holding the relationship to you first, is especially difficult, because your tendency is to take responsibility for the reaction you caused in the other. You want to alleviate the anger, the shame, the whatever arose in the activator. You want to take accountability and make it better. I want to say that the energy it took, the energy you gathered to be able to stand in pillar number 1, was great and is amazing, but you need a lot more energy to hold pillar 2 down. In my experience, at least, that's how it was. I got to number 1 a lot easier, and I thought it was difficult, and I thought I conquered the mountain. By staying on the mountain takes a different kind of energy. So before it felt like a sprint. It felt like a gradual, push to breakthrough. This one is more like elk energy to pillar number 2. It's a steady integration. You do a lot more work. So with every boundary that you fail pillar number 2, take it as data. Where do you have to go back and integrate? Where do you need more calling back your power? Where do you need more self-love? Where do you need more self-worth? Existential work, chakra number 1 and 2, sometimes number 3. Feed that on a daily basis, preferably every 3 days, alternatively. But keep doing that. Cohesiveness, right? Which is coherence work, basically. To be able to withstand other people's reaction and not automatically take responsibility onto yourself, right? What is yours. What is their reaction is theirs to work through. Now, holding boundaries is tough. It's about maintaining participation with what's real. Holding boundaries sometimes is being sort of labeled as abandonment, at least in my experience, right? Or you're being shamed into abandonment, because if you're expressing your need and your intent and your action to protect that need and to fulfill that need, it is viewed as you're abandoning the other, especially if the pattern was for the other to come first. And you really have to look at that, and you have to really put on your very rational and sober eyeglasses, because otherwise that responsibility for another, it's going to keep pulling you back. Participating in boundary work means that I'm no longer overriding myself, but I'm staying in relationship with you. I'm not choosing you over me or me over you. I am choosing to not override myself, and I'm allowing you the space and the time and your own reaction and your own calming down, your own self-soothing. What's the other word? Anyway, whatever time you need, but that doesn't mean that I'm abandoning. Abandon means I'm physically leaving, right? I'm in relationship, but I'm allocating time and space, and I'm also allocating the responsibility and the loyalty to the values that are now active within me. Boundaries or boundary work is very energetic work. It is very embodied nervous system type work, because these triggers are very fundamental to how we were wired, how we were honed, how our physiology was programmed to respond. So it is a lot of work for ourselves, but it is fundamentally triggering to the other person. So it's to just say this is a communication skill, it is reducing it to, I mean, no wonder. I can even, it's reducing it to a surface level that allows the convolutedness. My battery is dying. That is not what it is. So Anyway, I have to cut it short. I guess this is my cue. I hope this was helpful to you. And if you want to work with me, check out my offerings. If you need somebody to spot you, to observe you on your boundaries, check me out. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Thank you for being here. Happy boundary work. Bye.